Hello everyone, my name is Colin Smith, and I do sometimes worry that because of that, it might be hard for me to become famous. Like, I feel like celebrities always have names that you've never heard anywhere before, like Zendaya, or Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Colin Smith is just a bit too generic. I guess Will Smith did it for a while there, so there's maybe still hope. Because Colin is less common than Will. It's in a nice sweet spot, actually, I'd say, where pretty much everyone thinks they know how to spell it, but most people don't realize that Colin has multiple spellings. As you can see on the program, I spell it C-O-L-I-N with one L, but C-O-L-L-I-N is also a very common spelling, and for some reason people tend to default to that one. I'm not sure why. I feel like it might be because there was this military guy named Colin who spelled it C-O-L-I-N, and everyone just assumes when I say Colin I mean with two L's. But no, I'm not named after an intestine. And when people assume that my name has two L's in it, that can lead to some issues. For example, if they're making a name tag for me and it has two L's in it, I then have to go in and kind of like scribble between the two, like connect them into one really thick L just to make it accurate. And that can be an issue because then it looks like I'm really trying to emphasize it. Like, my name's Colin. Colin, not coin. There's an L in there. There's an L. And I just feel like I'd come across as a lot less passive aggressive if people defaulted to one L. Especially because if they did end up getting it wrong and whoever they were making a name tag for did spell it with two, a lowercase l is the thinnest letter in the entire alphabet. I think you can squeeze one more in there. One thing that I actually didn't know about my name for the longest time is that historically, apparently Colin is short for Nicholas, which does have one L by the way. But in order to make that work, you also have to rearrange the letters. And I didn't even know that was something nicknames were allowed to do. Like, I feel like more people should be taking advantage of this. Like, Xander could go by Rex, which is a very cool name. Now that I think about it, I'm not entirely sure if that would work for him. I feel like you have to be a very specific person to be named Rex. Like, someone named Rex needs to be able to survive multiple stab wounds and then also have a really good understanding of astrophysics. Like, when I think of Rex, I think of Chuck Norris with glasses, or that one picture of Neil deGrasse Tyson with a cowboy hat on. You could also shorten Xander to Dan. And I guess if I really wanted to, I could shorten Colin down to Lin, which would be a step closer to Lin-Manuel Miranda. But I don't think I'm going to do that because I really like names that start with C. I've already decided that if I have kids, I'm going to give them all names that start with C because I will be that kind of parent. But I'm not going to name any of them Colin Smith also, because I don't want to accidentally be responsible for starting a legacy. And like two of the same name, that's not a legacy. It's when you get farther that you have to worry about it. Two of the same name, it's not that impressive. It just sounds like you couldn't think of anything better, like, oh, look at our son, what should we name him? Well, I didn't have any ideas, but hear me out. And when it starts to get impressive is if you get three of the same name in the row. Then you actually unlock the first, second, third thing. Like, you've doubled the number of people required to be in on this. Before that, it's not even the first and the second. It's just junior and senior, like you're one grade apart or something. But once you get to three, you unlock the first, the second, and the third. That's when things start to get official. It's not quite a legacy yet, though. In calculus, when you're finding the derivative of, any math majors would have been very angry at me if I had made that mistake. When you're finding the derivative of a function, the notation actually changes after the third consecutive derivative. The reason behind this, I imagine, is because early mathematicians didn't expect anyone to get that far. Like, they didn't think of the possible ramifications of doing that 4 times in a row. And it's the same thing with these generational names, because once you get to Colin Smith the Fourth, then it's a legacy. It's like the Toy Story movies. You could have just stopped at 3, but now you have to keep going forever. Because after the 4th, there's no satisfying way to stop it. This just has to keep going for all of eternity. And if anyone does stop, it's gonna be really obvious. It's gonna take one look at a family tree to see exactly who messed it up. So with each subsequent generation, there's more and more pressure to keep this going. And people have died because of this sort of thing. Like, if Colin Smith, the 276th, decides to name his only child Jeffrey and gets publicly executed, I don't want to be responsible for that. It's a lot of pressure. Like, do you remember King Henry VIII? Granted, not the 8th consecutive Henry, but they were all pretty close together in the grand scheme of things. This guy was so desperate to have a Henry IX that he had multiple people killed and forced an entire kingdom to change religions just so he could divorce his wife and try again. And he did this multiple times. This guy thought that if he did not have a son, people were going to be like making fun of him for centuries or something. And he didn't. And we are. Thank you, everyone.